riding for Victoria House Racing Academy. That is the concern of former racer Richard Mortimer. I can remember commentating on Richard Mortimer when he raced at TT, 125 TT back in early 80s. But Richard Mortimer, a lovely guy. Richard, who actually does run a property leasing company, which is the Victoria House, and he actually picks a couple of riders each year to come to his academy, and he provides everything. He provides the bike and everything else, and that is the bike that has been provided by Richard Mortimer that Charlie Farrar, the 18-year-old, will be riding. Ironically, Richard was saying that he just ordered and just taken delivery of this 2020 NSF. Today that he heard that the coronavirus had taken effect of putting the mockers on the championship, but he said he could have carried on using last year's bike, the specifications saying, and then bought a new bike next year. But those are things that win. Actually, Charlie Farrar finished 7th in the British Talent Cup of last year, had a third place at Snetterton. A complete up on the grid is the number 17 of Franco Bourne, 16-year-old from Crook in County Durham with the Franco Bourne SC125. That's a Steve Patterson 125 squad, and he was third in the British Motor 3 standard category and had a couple of podiums. In fact, he had the two top steps on the podium. I think Ruxton last year, Franco Bourne in the British standard category. That is the most akin to the machines I'm running today, the British Championship of last year, the standard 3. Second row then sees the number 16. I don't know if Larry's having an opportunity. I don't think Larry is allowed on the grid down there, so I don't think we're going to get any good interview down there. Are we, Stu?
We are on the grid, Fred. No, we're not allowed to do any grid interviews for obvious reasons. But
okay, let me just pause then before I go to the second row. Could you just tell us what's happening down there?
Yeah, we've got a wonderful scene down here under the sunshine, the bench flags, the floating, the breeze. It is. Whereas the bigger bikes won't be affected by it. These little machines, the multi-star machines, the Honda Talent Cup machines, will not probably affect that. Now he's flying right across them as the bending left through the craners. So keep your eye on that one for the first lap, Fred. For the rest, the Dunlop flags are up. I can see Steve Patrickson down here. As ever, good to see Steve has been a stalwart of the paddock for many, many years. And making sure that all of the riders are down here underneath the umbrella. So that front row is complete, Fred. 72, Casey O'Gorman. Alongside him, number 71, Charlie Farrar, and number 17, Franco Bourne is there. So
remember down there, Larry, who will be carrying extra ballast weight. There's a minimum weight limit. I've not got the figures directly to hand there, but you've only got to look at these guys physically. I mean, they are diminutive, some of these guys. Casey O'Gorman ain't exactly a giant by any stretch of the imagination, is he? Even 13-year-old. And we really have some very, very small cats out there that will be carrying extra ballast on board to bring them up to the minimum weight. The organisers, of course, Larry, have looked to this, and as you were saying, I think, with regard to Danny Webb some years ago, not racing because he had to carry too much ballast. It's always a safety issue how much ballast you can put on a motorcycle to make it safe and not destabilise it. So there is an upper limit as to how much ballast they can
Welcome to the underground of the Honda British
Talent Cup at the Donington Park National Circuit, just a fraction under 2 miles round, 24 demanding laps ahead of these kids who are aged between 12 and 18. And in fact, we virtually got that range on the front row of the grid, extraordinarily. There's a beautiful view of Donington Park. Well, cloudy you could say, but actually we've mainly been baking under beautiful warm English sunshine. The air temperature 25 degrees, just about ideal. It's what we English call very hot. I'm Jack Bernicle. Alongside me I've got Neil Mackenzie, and we're looking forward to this opening joust. Two long races for these kids this weekend here at Donington Park. It's the birthday boy on pole position, number 72, Casey O'Gorman is the boy on pole position. He's now based at Erith in southeast London, but he came originally from Portlaoise in the south of Ireland. Number 5 is Mason Cade Johnson from Huddersfield on a D&D Racing Honda. All of these boys, of course, on the same Hondas. make that number 52. I only saw the 5. Evan Belford from Grendon on the City Lifting by RS Racing. Ryan Sachs will be racing Honda. He's qualified in 6th place on the outside of the front row of the grid. Pole position here at Donington Park is on the left-hand side of the grid. That's the right-hand side as we look at these guys. This is number 7, Jamie Lyons. He's qualified alongside Belford in the middle of the 2nd row. And number 16, Harvey Claridge, another of the City Lifting SP125 racing bikes. SP125, of course, is Steve Patrickson, former 125cc British champion many years ago. And then we've got 2 County Durham lads. Yes, my native County Durham featured on the front row of the grid. Franco Bourne from Crooktown in County Durham. Number 17 is on the outside of the front row. And then the just turned 18-year-old Charlie Farrer from Easington Colliery, up there on the coast of County Durham, is in the middle of the front row. And Casey O'Gorman, whose birthday was yesterday, he turned 13, this boy, originally from Ireland, now based in southeast London. This is the British Superbike safety car that will be leading off around this superb Donington Park National Circuit. The Donington Park National Circuit is, of course, before the Melbourne Loop was added, so they come through a quick chicane onto the start and finish straight. You must have enjoyed racing the Donington Park National Circuit back in your day, Neil.
Fantastic. Chicane was a little bit different then. They've remodelled the chicane since then and called it Robert Chicane after Robert Pernell. But yeah, lovely circuit. There's no rider I know that doesn't like Donington Park.
Especially in this weather. Perfect weather then as we head off. These guys then come down towards Redgate. And it's even for these lads running this circuit, Neil, will make a difference to the pace in which they come on to the start and finish straight, because it's much quicker coming through that chicane. Definitely,
that new chicane is actually nicer. That you come over a crest of a hill, it actually makes the start finish straight a little bit longer, so you've got a higher top speed on the start finish straight. It's a lovely chicane. As I said, you go right, left, whereas before it was a bit more of a nest than a chicane, but now you stop a little bit more. But it is a lovely feature of the track.
As is this great descent down crane of curves. At the top of that picture was Hollywood, which is called Hollywood because there used to be a wood surrounding it way back in the 1930s. Casey O'Gorman then on pole position ahead of Charlie Farrer and Franco Bourne. Harvey Claridge, Jamie Lyons and Evan Belford occupy row 2. And then we've got Bailey Stewart Campbell, James Cox and Corey Tinker on row 3. Row 4 features Harrison Crosby, Ryan Hitchcock and Gary Scott. And then Callum Beach, Eddie O'Shea and Elliot Dufton are on row 5. And behind them, you've got Lucas Hill, Rossi Dobson, I wonder who he's a fan of, and Ollie Walker. So we've got Rossi and Casey. The odd thing is that Casey O'Gorman, on pole position, describes Valentino Rossi as being his all-time hero. That's a slightly odd one. I guess he didn't have anything to do with his name, of course. His dad, John, must have been a Casey Stoner fan.
He already had that, yeah, but he didn't really have a say in that one. But yeah, he's certainly living up to his name, and whoever he likes, that's up to him. But great to see these guys out here. And as I said, Donington Park in fantastic weather, and what an event, what a venue to kick off the inaugural race in this championship.
So the boys line up then with the man on pole position, Casey O'Gorman, on the microlized Creswell Racing Honda. And number 50's gone Aditya Bahal on the Urban Nomads racing bike, has gone straight into pit lane. So we're one man down at the moment. As you can see, that gives you some idea of the gap and the advantage O'Gorman has heading down to Redgate. And of course, he'll want to sustain that advantage so he can cut into Redgate and cross his rivals. And all the guys on the front row get a good start together, absolutely sawing off together. And O'Gorman it is who has the advantage, a big advantage as they drop into the first turn. And he's got Charlie Farrer and number 17 Franco Bourne behind him.
Yeah, O'Gorman there didn't feel like he got the initial roll, but he obviously reacted quick. Charlie Farrer, however, did, and he looked like he might be getting the whole shot, but Casey O'Gorman was the man into turn 1 first. Brilliant start, and all safely through the sweeps of trainer curves on this first lap. And a lot of these riders, very new, all between 12 and 17-year-old, and basically learning the track as they go for most of them, many of them.
And this is straight away those front three, which we kind of expected. They were separated by very tiny amount during the course of qualifying, which took place earlier today. So these lads very much the front contenders. Although number 15, Harrison Crosby, the Ashford boy on the Banks Racing Honda, is right there behind them in 4th place.
Just a second covering the top 10 in practice, and as we were discussing earlier, and as I was saying, these guys learning their craft. As the season goes on, progresses, these guys will gain experience, and I'm sure we'll find the time difference between first guy and the last guy in the grid close up a lot. O'Gorman very confidently looking round there. Is there anyone coming with me, or am I on my own here? So that was definitely a confident look behind there on the first lap. That
was a long look, wasn't it? And briefly, Franco Bourne had knocked his County Durham colleague back to 3rd place, but breaking out there into Redgate, that was a chance for Charlie Farrer to retake the initiative. But their problem now is if they knock one another around, they're going to lose sight of that red and blue motorcycle ahead of them.
Yeah, he has been confident all weekend, and just got his head down. Lovely little motorcycles these. Obviously Honda, it's the Honda British Talent Cup, a new championship for this year, but it is a descendant of the original Talent Cup, British Talent Cup, so it's great class. All the bikes exactly the same. NSF 250R Hondas, around 47 brake horsepower, 148 kilos minimum rider and machine weight, so all really light. But of course some of the guys are 12 years old, and they're just about touch the handlebars, but hopefully as the season goes on they will grow into their bikes.
Here's another move being made by Franco Bourne under the ghost of the Dunlop Bridge there, but he's not close enough this time, and Charlie Farrer strong on the brakes. And behind them a move there past number 8 O'Shea by number 74 James. No, it's number 93 who's gone through. I wonder who he likes. So O'Gorman, Farrer, Bourne, Claridge, Lyons, Belford, Tinker, Stuart Campbell, it was, I beg your pardon, number 99, Stuart Campbell, who went through past O'Shea and James Cook into 8th place. O'Gorman is very strong on this initial part of the track, Neil, this descent down towards the hairpin.
Yeah,
he really pulls a gap there and then gets drawn back in at this point.
But of course slipstreaming for these guys is so important, so if you're within a couple of metres and the guy in front, that's going to help you. And lots of sections, not just the straights here, so if you can just kind of get a sniff of the guy in front, you're going to get drawn along there. And O'Gorman is the one that's at the disadvantage at this point, because he's in front and he's got no one to slipstream, so he's pushing that air to the side for everyone else in his slipstream, and he's certainly not pulling away at this point.
So look at this, the 13-year-old versus the 18-year-old at the front, and the flyweight 13-year-old certainly has, look at the difference in stature of them as they come towards us. You can see just from the frontal area. And he's very quick again through that chicane onto the start and finish straight, onto the Wheatcroft straight, named after the legendary Tom Wheatcroft, who was the man who got, against enormous local opposition, managed to get this track reopened in the 1970s.
Yeah, we're all grateful to Tom for that.
We certainly are, aren't we?
Amazing events over the years, both cars and bikes, and of course one of the most famous F1 Grand Prix ever, when Ayrton Senna did amazing stuff back there in 1993.
And as they drop down, a very impressive performance so by number 16 Harvey Claridge from Staining on the City Lifting SP125 Racing Honda, because he's clinging on to the shirt tails of this front three.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, we were worried that we might see an O'Gorman walkover, running away, unless he's just making a race for us at home and in commentary. And the other, I mentioned the weight limit there, 148 kilos minimum for rider and bike. The other good thing is, and it's a rule that came in a few years ago, is if you're really light, you've obviously got to have weight added, but the maximum the bike can be is 90 kilos, because if you put too much weight on it, it makes it almost impossible for the little guys to ride them. So there is a maximum weight limit, so that just evens things up nicely for the really light guys, and that's monitored during the season. If they're putting weight on, then they can take weight off their bike.
There's an old-timer's habit by number 7, Jamie Lyons from Omar, on the Jamie Lyons racing bike. He just patted the back of his seat as if he was saying to young Tinker, just you sit behind me here.
Oh, old-timer's habit. And that is that's very, very familiar, very popular in bike racing, and never, ever works. All it does is motivate the guy behind, as if to say, well, there's no way I'm following you, I'm here running one race. And quite often, the guy that taps the seat gets past at the next corner.
Of course, the familiar colours there of Corey Tinker's bike, the Stout Fluid Power Academy, who kind of got your younger son Taryn's career on the move.
That's right. The Stout Academy outfit with Taz took Taz to Supersport Honours and British Championship with Brett Gladwin and his team, so did a great job springboarding Taz's career into the Superbike class.
This kid leading the way here, originally from Port Leash, he was only 4 years old. He'd first ridden a bike when he was 3, and at the age of 4, his dad, John, decided to take him to the Scott Redding Young Riders Academy, and Scott was suitably impressed. So they kept on attending every academy that winter, which involved a 300-mile, 5-hour drive, because they were down in Port Leash, and never mind crossing the water.
Yeah, well, yeah, what a mentor, Scott Redding, and certainly doing what he did in the British paddocks last year and what he's doing now in the World Superbike paddock. So, yeah, great mentor and great guy to aim for. And this is a great four-way battle. As I said, we were worried they were going to break away. They've broken away in their own little quartet, but it's still anybody's race, and it's a long race, as you said, 24 laps. Oh, just a few laps short of the Superbike race, so these guys got to work on a...
And we've got a new leader. Yeah. And that move was kind of coming up, because number 71, Charlie Farrer, had been pressing for a fair while and looking like he could do with busying his way past. So on the 6th lap of 24, he's made that move.
Well, we'll see now if Casey Gorman has got something, and a replay there as they head into McLean's down the inside. Nice little letting the brakes off, still made the apex, so great little pass there.
It's not all just about age, of course, Neil, because number 71, Charlie Farrer, he was several years after his 13-year-old opponent in discovering bike racing and getting the opportunity to go bike racing. And he only really got it because of a kind of voluntary setup called Bikewise that was run by Durham Constabulary. He had to go on a bike when he was like 11 years old and thought, not quite like this, and went from there. And here we come with the second of those County Durham lads making a move through. So Bourne goes through, and he's followed through by the 4th place Claridge. So suddenly, yesterday's 13-year-old birthday boy has been punched back to 4th place. He's coming back though, straight away, round the outside.
Wow, long way round there, which is pretty much flat out on these little bikes. So, but they'll be getting close to 100 mile an hour around there. So, great little fight back there, and we will see now if Casey Gorham, he's obviously smaller. Maybe the slipstream thing will work perfectly for him, because he can get tucked in nicely on his bike and he can get into that slipstream there. He's certainly hanging in there.
And here we go. Whoa! He's just gone all the way around the blind side. Well, what you predicted, Neil. What a difference that flyweight body made then. Well, and poor Charlie Farrer comes out of the chicane in 4th place.
And skills involved there. That's a difficult pass to execute down the outside there into the Robert chicane, but it was brilliant. And skills, I mean, the bike was on the move, it was backing in a little bit there, but he stayed relaxed, he got it stopped, he ran a little bit wide, and here we go. Down the outside there for Gorman. Waited till everyone else braked. Counts 1/1000, as they do, apparently. And just missed the apex, but I mean, it took some time out of them as well. Had to clip the curb a bit more than he would normally, but he's relaxed, you can see, and he just lets the bike move around underneath him, and away he goes. So great little manoeuvre there.
Wow, I suppose the years of experience he's got. I mean, 2012 saw his first outdoor season with Cool Fab Racing.
Yeah.
But he was too young to race then. He was quick, but he was too young to race at that stage. So, Talent Cup race 1 on the 8th lap of 24. So we're about to reach 1/3 race distance. These are long, demanding races. Pretty warm out there as well for these kids.
Yeah, it is. They're easy bikes to ride, the light bikes, and I don't suppose they'll have any problem. They're young, fit lads. The other thing about this championship is, for career prospects, it's amazing. If you do well in this championship, then Dorna will pick one rider to do a full season in the Junior World Championship, which is the next step to Grand Prix pretty much, and also 2 other riders will get picked to go to the selection for the Red Bull Rookies MotoGP Cup selection event. So,
that last year's winner Scott Ogden is off plying his trade abroad, isn't he?
That's right. The year before, Rory Skinner won this championship, or
and got nothing for his efforts.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a different situation. However, always good now for Rory. He's in the British Supersport Championship, and his career's back on course.
Battle here between Crosby and Dufton for 11th place. That's Harrison Crosby on the Bags Racing, the yellow distinctive Bags Racing bike. And meanwhile, the battle going on at the front still.
And it is great
and
to
this
see.
is number 71, Farah, just becoming a bit detached. Look at this, number 16, Harvey Claridge is very much in the picture now in 3rd place. Here comes number 7, a move by Jamie Lyons. So the boy from Omar goes through on the Jamie Lyons Racing Honda. And Charlie Farah get it. Oh, look, he's patting the back of his bike again, as if to say, follow me. I've just passed you, so you follow me.
Pace. I'll take you all the way to the front, honest.
The best lap of the race so far, by the way, on lap 5, 1 minute 15.6 seconds by Franco Bourne. And Franco Bourne, I think he's got something like Born to Win. We've got B-O-U-R-N-E is the actual spelling of his name, of course.
Well, all the great nicknames, and
I was just wondering who'd inspired Franco. I just wondered if it was Barry Sheen's dad who had inspired him, or inspired his father to name him Franco. So on the 10th lap of 24 then, Franco Bourne leads the way. Whoa!
And my goodness.
Wow! Oh, and that was O'Gorman who went grass cutting.
Yeah, I mean, he used all the curb, which is fine, plenty of grip out there, but he just got a little bit ambitious and used a little bit of grass. Thankfully, it's bone dry, nice and hard, so there's a bit of grip out there on the grass. Could have been Franco Sheen, but it could also have been Franco Uncini.
Of course, yeah.
1982 500cc world champion, and that might have been more in line with his dad's racing interests. Franco Morbidelli.
This is amazing. The kind of the change in lineup from one year to the next in this series, Neil, because the only lad out there at the moment who's featured previously, 7th place last year in this series for Charlie Farah.
Yeah.
And he's the one who's now been punted back to 5th place, and suddenly these two are broken clear right now. So it's Franco Bourne from Crook versus Erith out of Port Leash's Casey O'Gorman.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have a fresh championship in many ways, and I really wanted this championship to happen for a lot of years. Everyone owns their own bikes, but there's a fixed cost. There's very limited to what you can do with them. A bit of argy-bargy there through McLean's, but it's cost effective as well, whereas the old Motorstar Moto3 Championship, pretty much, if you had a big budget, the more you spent, the faster you went, but everything's limited here. The bikes are the same, limited to what you can do to them as far as suspension, but it's just a great class for riders to learn the craft.
And look at that, that's the biggest lead we've seen so far since he dropped into the first turn off the start for a moment there for O'Gorman. So as the quintet snarl out of the chicane on to lap 12. So we're reaching the halfway stage of this race. Remember, these races, lapping at this kind of pace, will very likely be the longest races of the weekend, even due to the difference in lap times.
That's right. All on Dunlop tyres, of course. Control fuel, control tyre on Dunlop tyres. The Dunlop tyres do like temperatures. The Dunlop tyres also like Donington Park, so it's a great setup. It's definitely the right rubber to be on. And the heat and race distance will make no difference. You'll find fast laps coming mid-race, towards the end of the race. There will be no degradation, I predict, in the tyre wear.
Almost a move up the inside by Bourne. This time he moves to the outside and has a look as they go through the right-hander at McLean's. When you say... And we got a faller. We've got the first faller that we've had, bless them. The lads have behaved themselves really well, and we've dropped it off in a beautiful... Look at that fabulous piece of lawn mowing there. Beautiful, beautiful expanse of grass for you to deposit your motorcycle in.
I don't know who it is, but it looks like he could be an ex-Talent Cup rider with the design on his leathers. Not sure who that was.
Neil, when you say it's controlled fuel, do you mean it's just like 4-star that you get out of a petrol pump?
Except it's all the same. They're all using the same fuel. No, the organisers supply the fuel. Okay. So you have to use that fuel as opposed to Tesco fuel, which could be cheaper, but...
So it was Evan Belford who crashed.
Having a good run as well.
He was, yes. He was well inside the top 10. Belford looking a bit dismayed with himself.
Yeah, good number there. Danny Kent. James Toseland.
Well, my immediate thought is James Toseland,
right,
but
okay.
yeah, Danny, of course, inspired by James Toseland to take on that number. And now we've got back markers ahead of us, so this is going to make things interesting. As we see ahead, Harry Cook, number 90, and number 65, Alexander Rowan from Dromara.
Yeah, they will be showing the blue flag, so they'll know there is someone on the horizon.
Oh, and look, straight away O'Gorman takes big advantage. Big advantage. He's timed that so perfectly. No, he can't get past the second one, but I think, the man in white's going to find himself pummeled around a bit. Yes, he does. But they all emerged unscathed.
Yeah, it looked like Franco Born. He gained a little bit there. He got a nice line through. They got a nice line on the start, finish straight. He certainly didn't lose any time to Casey O'Gorman.
So number 72 leading the way, O'Gorman. When there's a club in East Sussex, the Angmering club, that he was first winning championships with, as he loses the lead to number 17 Franco Born. That was back in 2012. So what an experienced racer he already is on that blue and red motorcycle. And here comes round the outside, a long way round, comes Charlie Farrer through Starkeys, and he makes that work.
Yeah, great pass there. I'm not disappointed that Casey O'Gorman's getting past, because I like to see him digging in and showing us his skills when he passes him back. This
is another of the Irish boys from Magarafelt. Yeah. This is Gary Scott on his Scott Racing Honda, displaying a famous James Whittam number.
Yeah. Well, there's worse people to look up to. Not sure what corner that was, John.
No, he pedalled off. Wasn't sure. Now then, this is where we've got this. But when you get up ahead of O'Gorman, you must feel like you're a sitting target, because the kid just launches inside you like that.
Well, he will be loving it, and it's great for him as well to have a bit of competition, and he'll have to use his skills and suss things out. He just lost Claridge, just dropped off the back there a little bit. He's lost the toe there, which will make it difficult for him to bridge that gap.
Yes, and he was so competitive for so long, wasn't he? Running, he passed 3 of these lads. In fact, it's number 7 Lyons who's replaced him as one of the major players at the front.
Yeah, he's getting dragged round nicely there.
Just a dozen riders have crossed the line so far. As Walker goes across now, that's number 48 Ollie Walker from Highbridge on his Moto Rapido SP125. So 15 laps out of 24.
It's keeping us entertained, though. It is, the laps are dropping down there, and look at that. I mean, he just looks like he's got things covered pretty much everywhere, but we shall see. Nice run there.
Back to the front goes number 72 O'Gorman, the NMRC National Junior 4.2 champion in 2014. He was runner-up in the Cool Fab British Championship in 2015, only because he broke his collarbone, and he took 13 race wins that year. He also finished 3rd in a 4.2 AC mini bike race at Assen. He's got a lot of experience. He raced all around Spain last year, so he's massively experienced for a kid of 13 yesterday. And our lap record, 1:15.508, has just been dropped in by Casey O'Gorman. Yes. So has he decided that now's the time to really put the hammer down? Those boys have got to live with him at this point. This is the danger point where he could break clear.
Well, yes, but Charlie Farrer, he's reacted, number 71 there. He's just gone through the first sector faster than anyone, so he's got a little bit left. He's getting a feel for things, and they're playing it perfectly. They're just letting it all come and getting a feel for the track and the bikes and the competition. And Charlie Farrer is still thinking about being on top of this podium.
Charlie Farrer himself actually very quickly became successful in his second year of racing. He was the British mini bike Minimoto Junior production champion. It's a mouthful, but it's a championship.
Lines wide there, coming on the start finish there, using all the curb and a little bit more, and he's lost the toe.
Charlie Farrer takes that narrow entrance into Redgate. It seems such an obvious move to an onlooker, Neil. You sort of think, why wouldn't the rider in front kind of defend that line? But he's taking his own kind of swooping entrance.
Yeah, the fastest line is definitely not going in too early. You want to brake quite late and square the corner off, have quite a late apex so you can get a good run out. But if you have to be defensive, that is a good line because you can block your opponent on the way out, and it's also really good for passing because for the same reason you can get down the inside and block your opponent so that he doesn't get a drive out. So it's a very useful corner. But if you do choose the fastest line, chances are you will have someone up your inside.
Given O'Gorman's pace down that final hill into the chicane, James, if you were Farrer and Bourne, would you prefer to be in front of him at that point or behind him? Would you prefer to be kind of defending into the final chicane and actually have the advantage?
Well, Farrer and Bourne sounds like a paint company for these high-end decorators. I don't, in this class, because the bikes are small, it's easy to change lines. There's no, I guess you've just got to judge it or have a look at your competition. Hopefully you follow them and you know where they're strong, but there's no real ideal plan for that, Jack.
O'Gorman was lightning quick through the chicane there, and he just took such advantage of seeing Rhys Colts and Newton Abbey ahead of him and Ernie Colts race support Honda, and he just ripped past him, and look at the gap he's opened up as a result.
He's very smart with the lap riders, definitely, and he knows that he can use them to his advantage, and look at the gap that's given him. He's got
Jamie Lyons in fact has caught Franco Bourne as a result of that virtually.
He's got a couple of seconds there just with that one lap rider.
So that means a lot of hard work then for the Duke County Durham boys if they're going to get back on terms with the Irish lad.
Wow. Tidy gap, and O'Gorman in the process setting some personal best speeds, 117 miles an hour through the Sector 2 speed trap.
So O'Gorman then it's going to be interesting to see what the gap has opened up to on this lap. He was 0.644 of a second clear, having made that dash out of the final chicane on the previous lap that was good enough to suck him past Rhys Colts and give him that advantage. And this time it's 1.3. He's doubled that advantage over these two lads.
Yeah, and what happens now, of course, with O'Gorman getting away, Farrer and Bourne will realise they're maybe not going to win, but they have to defend their position to do their very best to finish second. So they won't be shy of holding each other up because they're not too worried about Casey O'Gorman at this point, but they really want to grab that second place if possible. So that's only going to help Casey O'Gorman at the front.
So O'Gorman then begins to break clear on the 19th of 24 laps. Behind them we've got Charlie Farrer and Franco Bourne. Jamie Lyons is in 4th place. And behind them, Eddie O'Shea from Measham on the WAM Honda has moved into 5th place, ahead of number 16, Harvey Claridge. And behind Claridge, we've got number 99, Bailey Stewart Campbell from Wokingham on the 151S SC Racing. And behind him, number 37, Corey Tinker, followed by number 74, James Cook. And rounding out that top 10 is the ever-popular number 46. And that's Dufton. So as they drop through the final chicane, the number 2 is already well lapped, of course. That's Rhys Colts.
Yeah. And the battle behind. It's gone quicker than I expected, Jack.
Look at this, number 99 under pressure. Oh, and he's going to lose it. Having worked his way up there, the Stouff Academy bike is going to go through. And that's Corey Tinker taking advantage there of Stuart Campbell.
Nice, the Stouff Academy colours work well on the little NSF Hondas. Looks great there.
They do
nice
look brilliant.
Stands out, really good.
It always has done. It's always been a brilliant colour scheme.
Stuart Campbell, number 99 there. He looks like a Jeremy McWilliams replica. Jeremy McWilliams didn't look unlike that in his GP years.
Yes, you're right. He has got a look, hasn't he? And we're riding the number 99, Jerry McWilliams' number.
He's a little guy, isn't he?
Yeah. Bailey Stewart Campbell then comes up the inside and away! Has he made it though? Has he got the pace to do them before he gets to Coppice? Oh, I don't think he has. No. So that's a big advantage then as he comes up behind those lads. And, oh, steady boys. They're involved in their own race. They weren't aware they were about to be lapped. So dropping it into the chicane then. These boys just keeping O'Gorman on his toes. 22 laps out of 24.
Yeah, keeping him honest for sure. Very consistent Gorman. 16.4 on that lap, 16.3 for Farrer, 16.3 for Bourne.
Just they were lapping 44 Lucas Hill on the Ashcourt Racing Honda and number 11 Rossi Dobson from Belfast. And again, he has the perfect point at which to overtake, dropping down to the old hairpin. He just nudges inside number 14, Evan Pendrell from Thames Ditton.
That was a nice pass there. He just made him aware that he was there, got a bit of space, and in he goes. Meanwhile, it's hammering Toms for second.
Yeah, this is going to be decided at the very end.
Yeah.
Probably there's going to be kind of lunge tactics if they're close enough into the final chicane.
Well, I think there'll be, coming out of Coppice, there'll be slipstream tactics and then lunge tactics, as you said, into the chicane there. But
and Charlie Farrer bravely taking no prisoners. Then he just, whether number 14 was aware of him being there, whether Pendrell knew he was there, he was just going to plunge through. Pendrell in the points in 15th place.
Heading on to the last lap now.
So here we go. Crossing the line then, Casey O'Gorman looks as if he's going to take a well-earned victory. And these two County Durham boys are going to fight for the top spot for the North East.
They've taken 6/10 out of O'Gorman. I'm sure he's well in control, but only a second was the gap going over the line on that lap.
And they might just find themselves getting the... Oh, no, they might not. I was going to say they might find themselves with this lapper in a kind of position, but I think he might beat them down the hill to the old hairpin.
Yeah, they'll get a good run through there. They should be able to get round them as a head up through Schwanzie's.
This is number 4, Sullivan Mounsey, the London boy on the Lloyd & Jones PR racing bike, and they're really working hard to pull it back. Oh, no! He had to sit himself up there and behind Mounsey. Oof. Well, they are working hard to close this gap. They're really working hard. Did the final lap come too soon for them? Hardly expect that when it's a 24-lap race, but they need the pace coming out of Coppice on the final lap. They've got to get the pace, try and get in behind O'Gorman. We know how quick it is on the drop down to the chicane. And the flyweight O'Gorman. Oh, and here comes number 17, Franco Bourne. He's going to sneak through ahead of Farah as they drop into that final chicane. Charlie Farah gets deprived of second place. Casey O'Gorman is going to be deprived of nothing. He's going to take the win. Second place, I think, will go to number 17. A delighted Franco Bourne from Crooktown. Ahead of Easington Colliery's Charlie Farah. And another dash for the line, which, oh, hey, boys, elbow to elbow across the line. And Tinker edges out Stuart Campbell for 6th place, having got the better of Claridge. In between them, we got Jamie Lyons and Eddie O'Shea in 4th and 5th places. So a good climax to the race there. Bad luck for Charlie Farah, who, kind of being just turned 18, feels the pressure a little bit that he needs to kind of win this championship at his 3rd crack. But Casey O'Gorman is going to be a menace, I would suggest.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I mean, it's been strung out, but as I said, these lads will close the gap as the season goes on, and great battle for the podium. And the top 10 all in relatively close contact.
So Hitchcock has crossed the line, last unlapped man in 12th place. Number 72, Casey O'Gorman, takes victory. And interesting to see what this little lad has to say, because he is a tiny little fella. Well, as most people are when they're just turning 13, for goodness sake. Even the likes of Luke Mossey and Leon Camus were little fellas when they were that age. So the winner then, number 72 on the Microlise Creswell Racing Honda. Now based in Erith in Kent in southeast London. And let's check out the results, with O'Gorman eventually winning by 0.45 of a second. This was the guy who snatched second place on the brakes into that final, and he has justifiably already unzipped his leathers in this very warm climate. County Durham's a fairly bracing place. They're not used to the heat up there quite to this extent.
It's getting aerated there, I like that. John Cresswell will be pleased. John Cresswell running a great little outfit for the junior riders in all the championships over the years, so great to see him kicking off the season with a victory.
Casey O'Gorman then comes in to the first spot. Second spot goes to Franco Bourne. Bourne to win. And third spot to Charlie Farah. The gaps were pretty small in the end. They shrunk to 0.45 of a second between first and second place. O'Gorman wins it from Bourne. Charlie Farah on the Victoria House Racing Academy Mortimer Racing Honda, ahead of Jamie Lyons in 4th place for his own team. Eddie O'Shea's Wham Honda in 5th place, ahead of Corey Tinker on the Stout Fluid Power Academy. And then Bailey Stewart Campbell on the 151's SC Racing Honda. Harvey Claridge, City Lifting SP125 Racing, takes 8th place, ahead of James Cook on the Wilson Racing bike. Wilson, of course, that long association with Honda, as high up as the TT and Guy Martin. Elliot Dufton and D&D Racing in 10th place. Harrison Crosby, Banks Racing 11th. Ryan Hitchcock, Wilson Racing again in 12th, ahead of Ollie Walker for Moto Rapido SP125. Sullivan Mounsey for the Lloyd & Jones PR Racing team. And a final point for Evan Pendrill for BHC Racing, ahead of Rossi Dobson, Lucas Hill, Gary Scott, Josh Hyatt and Annabelle Thomas in 20th place for Four Angels. Alexander Rowan in 21st, Harry Cook 22nd, Reece Coates in 23rd, having fallen. We also lost Callum Beach and Evan Belford.
Gorman, congratulations, they're the winner of the Honda Britain Talent Cup Series Race 1. There was lots of chat about you coming into this series. Obviously you're a rookie, you delivered, you took an excellent win there in Race 1. How was it being out on the track with some guys that are a lot older than you?
It was difficult, they kept passing me, but I was able to fight straight back and take the win.
Obviously you had your birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
You've just turned 13. Happy birthday for that. Nice birthday present and a win and a lap record as well. What are you hoping to achieve from this series? Obviously, we know it's a way into MotoGP. It's a great kind of championship. But what are your aspirations?
I'm hoping to win this championship.
There we go. Said it in a couple of words. Congratulations, Casey. An amazing start to your time in the British Talent Cup. Thank you.
So we await the rostrum then. These lads will pick up their own trophies, I think, as they come up onto the rostrum. Neil, he you know, he hadn't got a lot to say, that lad, but he obviously seems to think that he could well win this championship. He sees no reason to be bothered by slightly older lads hounding him.
Well, you don't have many words when you're young, and it's a camera and a mic stuck in front of your face. It's just quite difficult. So I thought he did really well, and yeah, he answered the question, what's your aspirations? I'd like to win it, and onwards and upwards, and he certainly got things off to a good start.
So does he look to you like a really smart prospect?
Yes, yeah, lots of things stood out there. He's obviously got a good feel for the bike, but then when he was put under pressure, he pulled some unexpected passing manoeuvres as well. That involved using other skills. It was backing in there, it was rattling around, so he had to relax and just kind of bide his time to get through some of the corners. So all the skills are in there, and it's just a case of refining them. But yeah, brilliant.
He's already attracted the attention of the Sun newspaper. They've run a major feature on him this year, which is in their sports pages, which is pretty extraordinary for our humble sport, is it not?
Well, he certainly does. He does deserve everything he's getting, and for me, I'm involved in the Red Bull Rookies MotoGP Cup, and he is a perfect contender to get to the selection event, and that's another route into MotoGP. As we've seen in the past with many world championships we've had in the last 10 years. So yeah, he's young, he's got talent, and yeah, he's bright and he's up for it. So good on him. So we await the rostrum then here for the British Talent Cup. Victory going to Casey O'Gorman ahead of those two County Durham boys, well, who had their battle right to the end. Franco Bourne from Crooktown, in case you're not familiar with it, folks, is a wonderful, in the middle of Durham, was a wonderful amateur football club, which won a dramatic amateur football cup final in the days when they used to get, amateur football in the 50s, used to get 100,000 people at Wembley. And Crooktown drew with Bishop Auckland, then went to Newcastle and played in front of 50,000 people, drew again, then went to Middlesbrough to Ayresome Park, played in front of 30,000 people, and finally won the FA Amateur Cup. It was a really big deal in County Durham back in those days. And whereas Easington, where Charlie Farrer comes from, the lad who finished third, Easington was the setting for Billy Elliot. That's where that was all filmed, that wonderful colliery on the coast of County Durham. Well, yeah, up there as well is Harry Potter up at Harry Potter Castle up there in the northeast near Morpeth. There's
yep. Oh no, yeah, the British Talent Cup has another race on tomorrow. These lads will sleep well tonight with another 24 lapper ahead of them, Neil. Well, take a bit... mind you, you said that these bikes, even for little fellas, were fairly easy to ride, so they shouldn't have taken too much out of themselves.
They'll be fine. They'll have their tea, and there'll be a few chicken nuggets, and they'll be good to go. Some E-numbers down them, but yeah, the nutrition, everything is important, but yeah, it's fine when you're 12 or 13.
I love that. That's kind of ageism the other way around. I get the chicken nuggets down them.
There's some good deals on at the moment. Certainly at breakfast time as well. So.
Oh, I love it. Chicken nuggets for the boys. Incidentally, that young man who won it sounded about as Irish as your boys sound Scottish, despite your best efforts. So there's no presentation of trophies due to the current COVID-19 epidemic. So Charlie Farrer then, the least experienced probably of these three, steps up, and then Jimmy Aird, Scott Leathers features with Franco Bourne in second place, and they both applaud this tiny little wizard, number 72, Stacey O'Gorman. Casey O'Gorman. Why do I keep calling him Stacey? Probably because of Storm Stacey. And here we are then, the British Talent Cup winner, who, as you can see, stands 2 inches taller than his rivals when he's on top of the box. And then they have, I assume this is non-alcoholic beverage they're about to explode, if they bother exploding it. Just empty it all over Larry and see if you can shut him up, lads. There's a good idea. So there's the trophy winners then, with third place going to Charlie Farrer, second place to Franco Bourne, and the winner, Casey O'Gorman. And these lads, of course, will be doing it all again tomorrow afternoon. The County Durham lads exchange a few. Oh dear, watch it. It's always fatal to let all your spray go first when someone else is still armed. So as Casey O'Gorman takes his leave of the podium, then we'll check out some of the highlights of that race, the first race of the weekend. All three of the front row got a good start in the Honda British Talent Cup Race 1. 24 laps ahead of them, so a long race for these lads. O'Gorman bursts absolutely clear going into the red gate for the first time. And this move by Charlie Farrer, punching his way through into the old hairpin, gets him through into the lead. But look at this move round the outside of both Farrer and Bourne to go into the final chicane and retake the advantage. What the hell's that noise? And that's onto the grass then goes that man in red and blue, the race leader, loses his way for a moment, Casey O'Gorman, and then he just tramps his way down the old Dunlop straight, flicks it into the chicane, retakes the lead from number 17, Franco Bourne. And then he crosses the line to take the checkered flag. Less than half a second ahead, but that's plenty good enough to give him victory in his first race in the British Talent Cup.